Hey everyone, welcome back. Kamina the coach here. I think my phone is I'm not gonna turn it. It's gonna it's gonna ruin your world if I turn the phone right now. It's not the right direction. Anyways. So I'm gonna talk about something I've been avoiding talking about. I rarely talk about this on the channel. I don't really talk about politics too much. I try to avoid politics. Um, It is, however, one of the reasons I'm leaving the United States. Um, when I talk to people who want to teach and work abroad, I talk about, because in general, I think that the public, this population, doesn't like to pay attention to the politics, and we, in general, tend to be a group of people that just kind of shut out the negative and do our best to focus on the positive. And um, right now, so this is like November 17th or 18th, 2020. Right now is not the time for that. So if you're still working abroad, now is definitely not the time to be closing your eyes to global and local politics. So having said that, I finally got my offer letter for Tanzania. Um, Having also said that, I also understand, only from an outside perspective, that they're having some political issues. And I've heard some comparisons to their leader to another leader that makes me nervous. So I've served in countries, I've taught in countries quite often that have questionable political backgrounds. Now that I'm out of Saudi Arabia, I can talk about the fact that I worked with a woman whose mother was a retired professor who was arrested by the Crown Prince and tortured for months, for almost 9 months, because she had been speaking out on women driving. Now, mind you, at this time, women could drive. He had already legalized women driving, but it was just because she spoke out against him or against the Crown that she and another group of women were arrested and kept in prison and tortured, and that is really, really unusual for Saudi to do to their own people. So so not just that, not just knowing that, but having that teacher come to me and say, "You're American, can you please say something? If you say something, they'll listen." And that was really painful for me, and it was hard for me to justify working in this country where I was so close to the heinous things going on. And it's very interesting. I've met somebody I like and I vibe with a lot, and this person is very typical in their American mindset, that they're like, "Oh, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of another country not caring about me the way that my country is, or being irrelevant of how women are treated abroad." And I kind of guffaw, because the most scared I've ever been in 41 years is here in the United States. So what am I getting at? So I'm getting my offer letter today for my position in Tanzania as lead teacher at a small international school, very remote area called Ingra. I'm working on my Kiswahili. It's not easy. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned with the powers that be at the moment. I'm concerned about putting myself in a very uncomfortable position. It's already a developing country, so the idea of putting myself in a position that could potentially become more difficult than past, for there to be political problems instead of just third world country problems, for there to be political problems heaped on top of that, that's quite a lot to deal with. And yes, I'm really sorry that the locals don't have a choice, but we have a choice of the positions that we put ourselves in. And I am in an uncomfortable position now, and that's why I'm working to make my position better. Unless I'm whole and feeling peaceful, I can't really help anyone else. So, what am I saying? I'm saying I'm watching politics and it's not looking great right now. I very, very much want to go to this country. I know that the people are amazing. I wish that I could talk to the people directly. I wish I could hear what the people directly have to say, but their media has been so wildly censored, especially now with the election going on. I want to know what the people have to say, because what's going on and what the emotion is internally is very different from what the media is going to tell us. So I'm definitely not condemning the leader. I don't know enough to even attempt that. Even if I did, I wouldn't. It's not my country. But I need to know more so that I can make a more informed or more prepared decision. I at least want to be fully prepared going into this. So I guess this video is more just a reiteration of letting people know that as you get prepared to work overseas, you really do have to do this kind of research. And I've researched ancient history, just history, and then looking at projections for the future, understanding that even countries in Africa are appreciating the Chinese. So anyone who has ever worked in China has felt the one-on-one racism. However, the system in China is not racist, versus where in the United States our system is racist and it's set up against people of color. That's not the case in China. I watched a dignitary speak who is a professor at one of the American universities, and he said, they tried to speak to Pelosi, and she's like, no, I only speak to leaders of country. But they were welcomed into China, into Beijing, like dignitaries, and like royalty, and they took them directly off the plane, and they never saw the airport. They just, they treated them very well. And there are, I think China and one other country are the #1 countries in the world where African students are studying. And it's easier for them to get visas to go into China than the United States. Marinate on that for a second. China also has the highest propensity for risk when it comes to investing in Africa, because the African market is seen as widely unstable, and that's why a lot of countries refuse to go. Also, a lot of countries are looking at human rights issues, and China is not looking at that, and China is just looking at where can I get the bang for my buck. And so we understand that about China, but do we understand that Africa is digging that? So Africa's digging that. So that's why I'm talking about, like, knowing what's going on from the internal standpoint. So that's why I've been trying to research things from the African standpoint instead of what do Americans have to say about this stuff. I've really been looking for the African perspective. So if you're an African and you're watching this, if you're from Tanzania or any of the areas, especially if you're a historian, any involved in any in politics, any of that stuff, reach out to me, because I would love to talk to you. I want to know from Africans' perspective. So for the first time since I've been going overseas, I'm really stuck in this, and we are definitely in a different era. So maybe by the time you're watching this, it's not that kind of situation in the world. But right now, in November in 2020, this is definitely a concern, and we really have to be very mindful of global politics, local and national politics for the countries that we're looking to go to. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, guys. So, Camina the Coach, until next time, wishing you love, light, peace, and joy. Peace.